I am Denzel Washington, ask me anything.
Before we start, be sure to like and subscribe to be the first to know about new videos. Comment your answer below.
Which one of your characters do you think you are actually the most like in real life? That would be a good question for my wife. I don't know. I don't think any of them, not completely. There's a piece of me in all of them and all of them in me, but I can't say this one is really like me. Training Day was close. No, that's the old me. The younger me. If you didn't have a career in acting, what do you think you'd be doing for a living? Probably working with children. That's all I did before. I was a counselor for the Boys and Girls Club and the YMCA. So that was most of the kind of work I was doing from age 13 up until I became an actor. Can you be my dad, please? Do you prefer playing the villain or the hero? I like mixing it up. I don't have a preference. I don't want to. More heroes earlier on my career, and then when I did Training Day all I got offered was villains. I guess they didn't know I had it in but I don't have a preference. Good scripts. In Flight I think you were both. I love Flight. I went into that movie not knowing anything except that he was some hero pilot or something. Totally blew me away. What is the weirdest situation you've found yourself in by accident? In life? Probably had something to do with not being able to find a bathroom in time. We've all been there, you know what I'm talking about. Haha, oh man, and it's cold outside and that warmth starts. You know what I'm talking about. If peeing your pants is cool, consider me Denzel Washington. Confirmed, Denzel to play Miles Davis in new biopic. Hi, just wanted to say you are one of my all-time favorite actors. A living legend. My question for you is, what role if any did you have a hard time shaking off once the movie was wrapped up? Cheers. Malcolm X. My wife would be like, is Malcolm coming home tonight? What do you think of Quentin Tarantino? Would you ever consider starring in one of his movies? He's a great filmmaker. My daughter actually worked for him on Django. He really wanted her to come back and continue to work with him. She said, "Dad, he doesn't sleep." Yay, if he asked me, sure. Depends upon what it's about, gotta see what's on the page. You know, going back to that, he did rewrites on Crimson Tide. He obviously didn't direct, but he was one of the writers on the movie. I seem to be reading your comments in your voice, haha. For someone who has never seen your work, what would you suggest they watch first? I would suggest that they watch 2 Fences and Man on Fire. Man on Fire is a masterpiece, those demons, man. Nice work. So bizarre the drastically different opinions on that movie. Rotten Tomatoes has it under 40%, which is crazy. But then other sources rank it as a masterpiece. Flickster for example has its score as a 90. Opinions will vary, and critics and audiences will feel differently, but I can't think of another movie that is that divisive. What is your favorite line or quote that you have said in a movie? What came right through my head was King Kong, but that's not necessarily my favorite line. That's the line that I hear the most from other people. I don't have one. Some people walk up, my man from American Gangster, but I don't have one that I walk around and repeat because I'm on to the next one, so I'm not thinking about it that much. My man indeed. Denzel, I am a big fan of yours. My question is, how did you psych yourself up for the King Kong ain't got shit on me scene in Training Day, and how much of it was ad-lib? Thank you, sir. That was an ad-lib line, and I was developing and ad-libbing the scene as we went along, so we actually shot everybody else as I was working it out, and his whole thing was his ego, and I was getting real stuff from the real gangsters like shoe program and what that meant and all that stuff from the Bloods, and from one take I just went off, and Antoine is like, "Man, you know what you just said?" I said, "Yeah," and he said he wanted me to do it again. But purely it was his ego, Alonzo's ego. If you look at the end of the movie again, he's getting out of the car and pointing with his key cause he's trying to get out of the trunk where his guns are, cause he's still until the end not giving up. What did he say? "I'm gonna win anyway." Hi Denzel, I'm a huge fan of yours, and I'm also a student at your alma mater, Fordham. Was just wondering what your time was like here, if you have any cool Fordham stories, and when the next time you plan on visiting is. I went for 2 years up at Rose Hill trying to figure out what to do in life. Started off pre-med, then I said I'll become a lawyer, then I said I would become a journalist, but really all I was doing was flunking out, and then I ended up working up in Lakeville, Connecticut at a YMCA camp, and I did a little skit for some kids and someone mentioned, "You ever thought about acting?" So I went back to Fordham, I transferred to the Lincoln Center campus and I started taking an acting class, and that's how it started. So even with my own kids, I said a liberal arts education is okay. You don't have to know at 18 what you're gonna do for the rest of your life, and you know how it is in college, you gotta declare something. Well, I'm not a doctor, but I played one. Ha ha ha. How did you start your career as an actor, and was it the cliché struggle that everyone always talk about? Thanks. Interestingly enough, I'm in San Francisco where my career sort of began. I studied for 2 years in NY, I went to Fordham, 2 years in the Bronx and then down to Lincoln Center, and I knew that I didn't have enough training yet, so I got into the American Conservatory Theater here in San Francisco and I studied here, started on my master's here. Having done Fences on stage as a play and now as a film, what do you think is the most difficult part to transition, and is there anything you feel was lost/gained because of the change from stage to screen? One of the challenges were the transitions. In a play it's lights out, the curtain comes. You can't do that, but it opened up other opportunities to stay with the character that were left on stage in the play. It was a process. It was a slow process. Was anything lost or gained? Yay, probably. That's just the nature of it. You might lose a little, it's a motion picture now. Some of the story is just told in what you see. You won't have to say it all. I have 2 questions. What is your most useless skill? And what is your favorite song that you listen to hype you up? Useless skill. My most useless skill is making coffee. No, that's useful. A useless skill, meaning a skill that has no use. How do you develop it if it's useless? I don't know. I'm trying to be useful. Useless? A useless skill? Favorite song to hype yourself up? Depends upon what I'm doing. I saw Ludacris the other day in Atlanta. In different movies I'll get into a particular artist. I've used Mary J. Blige when I was doing a darker movie, Courage in the Fire, and some of her music just helped me with that. When I did Magnificent Seven I used War because they have some kind of cowboy stuff. Southern Part of Texas was one, and Gypsy Man was a couple of songs. Bands from the 80s, 70s. It depends, I gotta find that vibe and it gives me a certain feeling that I like. Training Day Uck, whatever I wanted to. It was just filthy. Mr. Washington, thank you for taking the time to do an AMA, looking forward to seeing your performance in Fences. I was wondering, what is the best way of getting nerves to work for you rather than against you in a performance? Sometimes nerves are good for you. I still get nervous, it's okay, that means you're alive. The only thing to fear is fear itself, so that's a part of it. Being fearful is a part of it, but keep going. There was a saying, fall down 7 times, get up 8, so just keep going. We all have fear. Believe me, I have as much as anybody else, and we all have to face them. Face your fears. What is your favorite food to snack on? For real? Haagen-Dazs ice cream. Cherry vanilla, number 1, chocolate, number 2, and butter pecan, number 3.
You have been visited by Sad Cat. Like this video and subscribe to the channel to make Sad Cat happy again.